Hey, so a bunch of you have asked me to show you a demo of the tapping that I do. This is not the traditional EFT tapping that you might have seen or done trainings on or learned about. This is something I developed intuitively, if I'm being honest, for my own health. And then once it started working for me, I started sharing these points with my patients. So a couple of key components. One is crossbody. So you're basically going to do each point twice so that you get the right and the left arm tapping on it. I'll show you how that works in a minute. You're also going to be crossing body on some of these points. So if there's a point like over here, for example, you're going to take your opposite arm to the opposite side and vice versa. I think that's important. In terms of how long to tap, I usually tap maybe 10 times or so on each point. Every single time I start tapping, I say my affirmation out loud and I repeat the whole sequence a couple of times. The whole sequence would be down and then up with different affirmations. So the first affirmation might be general and broad, and then I might go a little bit more specific or a little bit more intense or detailed in the words I'm using as I continue on. The whole thing usually takes me less than 10 minutes to do. So I start out with the top of the head for about 10 seconds. Again, saying that affirmation out loud the minute I start to tap there. Remember which hand you start with here. You're going to do the opposite side on the way back up. Then I go middle of the forehead. And then I start the crossbody ones. So I go over to the opposite ear, just in front of the ear, and tap there. Same thing on this side, just in front of the ear. Again, I'm crossbody. This is my right arm to the left side of my face. Come down to the collarbones. You're gonna go halfway across the collarbone, right in the middle. And you can go right on that point. Obviously, you're gonna switch hands though here. So opposite sides. You're gonna go right on that point for, again, the 10-ish taps or so, or you can go right below it if it's too tender there. That could be a little bit of a tender spot. Same thing on this side, halfway across the collarbone, opposite hand. And then the sternum, down to kind of the center of the sternum for the last point at the bottom. Then you're gonna repeat those same points on the way back up, but you're gonna switch hands for the points that were not crossbody. So now I'd be switching sides for the bottom one. I would continue to go crossbody for the ones that are right and left. So crossbody, obviously I'm going a little fast here. And then because I started with my left hand, I'm gonna finish with my right up here and up here. So again, every time I tap, I'm saying that statement out loud. Preferably out loud if you can. I think in your head is helpful too, but I think it's more powerful when you say it out loud. So let's say you're doing 3 rounds of that. So you do top, down, and back up. That would be 1 round. You could start out with something like I am safe as your affirmation and do I am safe for all the points down and up. Then the second round, you could change your affirmation. You could do something like I am loved. The third round, you could go for something even more descriptive, perhaps something like I am abundantly empowered. I am already healed, something like that. So you could kind of have meet your system where it is. If you're feeling reactive or feeling like you're unsafe, start there, but then start to expand on what you're using as you do each round. So there's kind of a progression from round to round of the affirmation that you're using. The other thing I have a lot of people do is if you have a tuning fork, something like the Sonic Slider, that's the one I use. There's so many great tuning forks out there though. You can actually use a tuning fork on these points, and that's what I prefer to do. So I'll tap with my hands if I'm traveling, if I don't have the tuning fork with me or something, but I think the tuning fork is actually more powerful for this type of tapping. So when you're using the tuning fork, you're basically doing the same principles. You're putting it on all of the points I just showed you. You're saying your affirmation out loud, just like you would with the tapping of the hands. The main difference is you're feeling the vibration there and you're leaving the tuning fork on for a little bit longer, probably than you would tap with your hands until it loses its strength of vibration. So for most people, that's between 10 and 20 seconds per point with the tuning fork. So that's how I would modify this one. If you have a tuning fork, it's really fun to play with it too.